Welcome to African Folktales by Mozzie. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on your notification. Listen well, for this is not a small story. It is a story the elders tell only when the fire burns low and the night grows quiet. It is a story about betrayal and the price that follows it. On the night Zarek betrayed his village, the moon hid behind the clouds as if it did not want to see. The forest held its breath. Even the insects were silent. Zarek walked softly between the trees, leading three strangers along a narrow path that only hunters knew. His feet knew the way by heart. This was the path that protected Oroku, the path no outsider was meant to walk. In his hand, he carried a small bag of gold. It was heavy. It was warm. Each step he took made it feel heavier. There, Zarek whispered, pointing ahead. Beyond those trees, the strangers smiled. One of them laughed under his breath. "You have done well," the man said. "Your village sleeps peacefully." Unaware, Zarek did not answer. He told himself he was only trading knowledge, not lives. He told himself the village would survive. After all, Oroku had always been protected, but as he spoke these lies in his heart, the wind turned cold. Somewhere deep in the forest, something laughed. The village of Oroku had stood for generations, without walls and without fear. It lay between a gentle river and a wide forest that glowed green even in the dry season. The people believed the land loved them, and they loved it in return. They farmed together. They hunted together. They shared food and secrets alike, and they kept one sacred rule: never betray your own. At the heart of Oroku stood a smooth black stone half buried in the ground. Children were warned not to touch it. Elders poured palm wine beside it during festivals. It was called the heart of the forest. As long as the people stayed loyal, the stone protected them. No enemy could find the village. No sickness stayed long. Hunger never fully arrived. Zarek knew this better than anyone. He had grown up hearing the stories. He had watched the rituals. He had sworn the oath like every child before him. Yet greed has a quiet voice. It speaks softly. It says, "Just once. Just this time." As Zarek led the strangers closer, the forest paths twisted strangely. Trees leaned inward. Roots rose like fingers from the soil. One of the strangers frowned. "This forest feels alive." Zarek swallowed. "It is." Behind them, footprints vanished as soon as they were made. When Zarek returned to Oroku before dawn, the village slept. Fires were only embers. Dogs lay curled near doorways. Nothing looked broken. He felt relief. He told himself, "Nothing has happened." As he walked toward his hut, he saw a man sitting on a fallen log, smiling at the sky. The man wore a patchwork cloth and had one eye closed, though Zarek could not tell if it was missing or simply refusing to look. "Good evening," the man said cheerfully. Though the sun had not yet risen, Zarek froze. "Who are you?" The man laughed, a light sound that did not fit the cold air. "A walker of paths. A keeper of stories. A friend of mistakes." Zarek's heart beat fast. "I don't know you." "Oh, but I know you," the man said. "You are Zarek of Oroku, trusted son." Clever mind. Heavy pocket. Zarek's hand moved to the gold without thinking. The man stood and walked backward around him, leaving no footprints. "You sold your people for metal," he said kindly. "Very human of you. Who are you?" Zarek whispered. The man bowed low. "Some call me Kweku," he said. "I am the one who comes after choices are made." The forest stirred. "And I have come," Kweku smiled, "to give you what you earned." Zarek's footsteps echoed through the forest. But the trees did not seem to move as they always had. It was as if the forest itself were holding its breath. Then he heard laughter, a soft, hollow laugh that danced between the trunks. From the shadows stepped a figure. One eye glimmered in the dark, and he walked backward without a sound. His name, whispered by the wind, was Kweku, the trickster of old tales. The spirit no villager had ever seen and lived to describe. "You think you are clever, Zarek," Kweku said, his voice like the rustling of leaves in a storm. "You betrayed your people for gold, and yet you feel no fear. Tell me, do you understand what you have done?" Zarek swallowed. His tongue felt heavy. I needed to feed my family," he whispered. The words felt small in the vast dark of the forest. Kweku shook his head slowly. "One small lie becomes a mountain of sorrow. But I will not strike you down. No, I have a gift for you." The trickster stepped closer. "Since you love secrets more than loyalty, you will now carry the weight of all secrets. The truth of the village, the hearts of the people. It will belong to you." But beware, truth is heavier than gold, and it does not forgive. Zarek's mind swirled. Was this a blessing or a curse? His heart pounded, but he nodded, thinking only of the wealth he had already taken. The trees whispered around him, and the forest seemed to lean closer. Waiting. You will see everything, hear everything. But you will be alone, Kweku said, and then he vanished into the night as silently as he had come. Zarek felt the cold wind press against him, carrying voices he had never heard. Whispers, secrets, fears all tangled around him like roots of the ancient forest. He shivered, unaware that the gift was also a chain, and the first threads of his punishment had already begun. The next morning, Zarek awoke to the smell of the village fires and the songs of the river. Everything seemed normal. He brushed dirt from his clothes and smiled at the villagers, who greeted him warmly. But then he heard a whisper. A woman in the village market spoke to her friend, and suddenly Zarek knew what she was thinking. He froze. Every secret, every hidden thought rushed into his mind. A child hiding a stolen yam, a man fearing failure, a woman praying for a lost child, all of it tumbled like rushing water. Zarek stumbled to a tree and held on tight. His head spun. He had thought the gift would be power. Instead, it was like drinking a bitter river that never ended. He tried to speak to the villagers, to tell them a warning, but no words came. His voice faltered. The world around him seemed sharper, and yet he felt smaller. The sun rose, and Zarek followed his normal path to the chief's hut, but every step carried the weight of 1,000 whispers. Nala, his younger sister, noticed him first. "Brother, are you unwell?" she asked, concern painting her voice. Zarek tried to nod, but the words would not form. The village seemed normal, but he knew everything. He saw fears no one had admitted, desires they would die before speaking aloud. His gift, Kweku had said, would make him powerful, but it also isolated him. By midday, Zarek realized something terrifying. Secrets do not lie quietly. They crawl through your thoughts, twist your heart, and force choices you never intended. And Zarek had no choice at all. The Trickster had claimed him. He was no longer just a man, he was the keeper of Oroku's hidden truths, the unseen guardian, and already, the punishment of betrayal had begun to wrap its invisible chains around him. Days passed, and Zarek tried to live as before. He gave advice to villagers, helped repair roofs, and led hunters through the forest. But everywhere he went, the voices followed. He could hear the fears of the sick, the shame of the proud, the greed of those who pretended to be humble. It was as though the forest itself whispered through him, revealing what should never be known. At first, Zarek felt clever. He could prevent arguments before they started, advise the hunters where the best game could be, and warn the women when storms would ruin crops. The village began to praise him more than Chief Pakari himself. Zarek is wise beyond his years, they said. He hears what others cannot. Yet something darker lingered. Animals no longer approached him. Dogs growled when he passed. Birds scattered from the trees as if he carried an invisible shadow. Even Nala noticed the change. "Brother," she whispered one evening as he returned from the forest, "you are different. The forest does not feel you as before." Zarek smiled weakly, hiding the fear curling in his chest. The gift Kweku had given him felt more like a curse each day. The voices demanded attention, the whispers weighed him down, and yet he could not ignore them. He was a man among men, yet apart from all. The forest watched, the village unknowingly trusted, and Zarek realized power gained through betrayal is never free. It is paid for with every secret, every silent moment, every shadow of the heart. By the next dawn, Zarek's presence felt different even to himself. Villagers passed him on the path, yet he seemed invisible to their eyes. Not literally gone, but ignored, as if the forest had taken him in and set him apart. The whispers in his mind grew louder, and he realized he could not stop hearing them. Secrets long buried, thoughts never spoken, they all flowed into him at once. Nala watched him closely. "Brother," she said softly one morning, "you do not laugh as before. Your eyes, they see too much." Zarek forced a smile, but the weight of what he now knew pressed down on his chest. He nodded to her, wordlessly promising she would never understand. That day, the hunters returned from the forest with troubling news. Game was scarce, rivers ran shallow, and storms threatened to ruin the crops. Zarek knew it was no accident. The outsiders he had betrayed had begun their plans. The forest had not yet struck, but the balance had been broken. He tried to warn Chief Pakari, to tell the elders something, anything, to prepare them. But when words reached his lips, they dissolved into silence. It was as though Kweku had stolen his voice, along with the power to know. Zarek felt panic rise. The forest watched him, the trickster watched him, and even his own family sensed the change he could not undo. That evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, Zarek walked to the river alone. Water shimmered in the fading light, reflecting not his face, but shadows of whispers dancing in the wind. He understood now what Kweku had meant. This gift was a chain, not freedom. And every secret he bore was a weight he would carry alone forever. By the third night, the village had grown uneasy. Crops wilted, fires went out, and whispers of misfortune spread among the people. No one suspected Zarek, not yet, but unease hovered in the air like a bird poised to strike. He moved silently among them, unseen, but aware of every fear and hope, every lie and every truth. One evening, he passed the market and overheard a merchant whispering about the outsiders. They will take Oroku's stone, the charm that protects the village. The village will fall if someone does not stop them. Zarek's heart thundered. The very forest charm he had revealed to the outsiders was under threat, and the punishment for betrayal was about to deepen. That night, Kweku appeared again, laughing softly beneath the old baobab tree. "You see, Zarek," he said, "the village suffers. They trust you still, but their trust is fragile. Will you act for them, or for yourself?" Zarek felt the power of the whispers coursing through him. Every secret, every fear he could use them to guide, to protect, yet he could not speak, could not act as a man should. His mind raced. Every plan he made required silence, every decision demanded caution. Yet the village's fate teetered, balanced on the edge of a knife. He realized, for the first time, that betrayal is not forgiven by magic, only measured by consequence. The charm he had once revealed could no longer protect the village alone. He had become part of the punishment. And the outsiders were coming closer, their greed echoing through the trees, their shadows stretching toward the village like claws. The forest was alive with whispers that night. Animals hid, winds shifted, and the trees seemed to bend toward Zarek, warning him, testing him. He moved among them, unseen yet present, feeling the weight of every secret he had stolen, every betrayal he had committed. The villagers slept peacefully, unaware that the fate of Oroku rested on the shoulders of the one who had broken their trust. Suddenly, a cry shattered the quiet. The hunters had returned from the outer forest, panic in their eyes. The outsiders. They carry weapons. They know the path. The village is not ready. Zarek's heart raced. He could guide them, whisper plans in their minds, but he could not speak aloud. Every instinct told him the charm alone would not hold. He alone knew the truth, and yet he was powerless to reveal it fully. Kweku appeared again in the shadows, smiling with one glowing eye. "You wanted power, Zarek," the trickster said. "Now you have it, but it comes at a cost you do not yet understand. You will save your village or watch it burn." As the moon rose, Zarek made his first choice. He would act in silence, unseen, using the secrets he carried like weapons. Each step would test his courage, each decision his morality. And though he feared the night, he understood what had to be done. Betrayal had begun a chain, and he was the only one who could break it. The next morning, the village awoke to an eerie calm. Birds did not sing, and even the river seemed quieter, as though holding its breath. The hunters gathered at the edge of the forest, whispering to each other, eyes darting nervously toward the shadows. The outsiders had returned, and with them, a sense of doom. Zarek moved among the villagers, unseen but present, feeling their fears like prickling thorns on his skin. He could sense every heartbeat, every secret whirring. "They come for the stone," a hunter muttered, and Zarek knew they did. Oroku's charm, the very thing he had revealed, was in danger, and the village remained unaware of the threat. Kweku appeared silently in the trees, leaning backward as if gravity did not apply to him. "You thought betrayal was for gold alone," he said, one eye glinting in the sunlight. "But now you see, Zarek, that betrayal weighs more than any coin. It is heavier than the air, heavier than the forest. Can you carry it?" Zarek clenched his fists. He wanted to speak, to warn, to guide the hunters, but words would not form. Instead, he relied on instinct, letting the whispers of the villagers' fears shape his plan. Every path through the forest, every hidden route, every shallow stream became a tool. He would protect Oroku in silence, or see it crumble. By nightfall, the outsiders' fires flickered at the forest's edge. Zarek felt the air thicken with tension. He could see them, their shadows dancing on the trunks like dark flames. He felt the first true weight of his punishment, the knowledge that the village's fate rested in his hands. Yet his voice, his body, and his name were no longer fully his own. The forest and the trickster were watching, waiting for him to falter. The first attack came quietly, without warning. From the darkened tree line, a small band of outsiders crept toward the village, hoping to take what Zarek had once revealed. They carried weapons and lanterns, but no plan could withstand the forest itself. Guided by Zarek's silent hand, he felt every twig snap beneath their feet, every breath they drew. He guided birds to scream, sending flocks crashing through the trees, startling the invaders. Branches shifted, roots tripped them, and the river whispered warnings through the reeds. The outsiders stumbled, panic spreading like fire. Meanwhile, in the village, the people slept peacefully, unaware of the danger. Zarek's heart ached. He longed to shout, to warn them, to stand as a man. But Kweku's gift, his punishment, remained absolute. He could act, but he could not be seen or heard. The trickster's laughter echoed faintly in the wind, reminding him that every action carried consequence, every act of protection a cost. By dawn, the outsiders had retreated, bruised and shaken. Zarek watched from the shadows, his chest heavy with exhaustion. The village was safe, for now, but the cost of betrayal weighed on him like a boulder. Every secret, every hidden thought of the villagers reminded him that he could never be among them again. He moved silently through the dawn mist, hearing whispers of gratitude that could not reach him. Kweku appeared one last time that morning. "You saved them," the trickster said softly. "But remember, Zarek, the path of the betrayer is never free of shadow. You are part of the punishment, and the punishment is eternal." The days that followed tested Zarek more than the attack itself. Crops grew twisted, rivers ran thin, and animals refused to come near the village. The outsiders lingered on the borders, watching, planning, waiting for a weakness. Every day, the whispers of the village's fears and secrets wrapped tighter around Zarek's mind. He realized something terrible. He was becoming more like the shadows themselves. His reflection in the river became distorted. His voice remained trapped. Even his own body felt as though it no longer fully belonged to him. Animals avoided him, sensing the trickster's mark. Only Nala noticed, and she called him to her side quietly each evening. "You carry too much, brother," she whispered. "The forest does not touch me, but it touches you." "You are alone," Zarek nodded. He could not explain the gift, the curse, or the weight of every secret. All he could do was act, silently, invisibly, to guide the village through growing dangers. One night, as the moon rose high and bright, Kweku appeared at the village's edge. "The final test approaches," he said, his single eye glowing like fire in the darkness. "The outsiders grow bold, and the forest has its limits. You must decide, protect them alone, or fail and vanish entirely." Zarek's chest tightened. The village slept beneath him, unaware of how close disaster had come. The choice before him was simple in words, but impossible in reality. He could save Oroku, or he could save himself. And the trickster waited, patient, silent, eternal, ready to claim the betrayer if he faltered. Zarek began to understand the full weight of Kweku's punishment. By day, he moved among the villagers, unseen yet present. By night, the whispers of every secret grew louder, swirling like a storm in his mind. He could feel every fear, every lie, every hidden desire, and the burden was crushing. One night, a child stumbled near the riverbank, chasing a lost bird. Zarek rushed forward to guide him, but when the boy cried for help, his voice reached no one. Zarek's hands hovered above the child's head, and the whispers in his mind told him exactly how to save him, step by step. Yet he could not touch, could not call, could not speak. The child fell, narrowly avoiding a hidden root that could have broken his leg. Zarek felt the cold grip of failure tighten around his chest. He realized then that the punishment was more than knowledge, it was power without presence. He could see the danger, plan the rescue, yet the village could not feel him there. The trees, the river, even the animals seemed to sense his struggle, leaning closer as if waiting to help, but he alone bore the responsibility. That night, Zarek sat beneath the great baobab tree where Kweku had first appeared. The moonlight fell on him like judgment. "You wanted power," the trickster's voice echoed softly in the wind, "but power without sacrifice is nothing. You are learning what betrayal truly costs." Zarek clenched his fists. He understood. He would protect the village at any cost, even if no one knew he had done it. The thought of Nala, safe in her hut, gave him courage. Though invisible, unheard, and unthanked, he would stand as their guardian because no one else could. The outsiders grew bolder, sensing weakness in Oroku. Fires flared on the edges of the forest, and hunters returned from the perimeter, shaken by what they had seen. The charm of the village seemed thinner, more fragile, as if Zarek's betrayal had left an invisible crack in the protection. Zarek moved silently through the village, listening to whispers of whirring. The villagers spoke of shadows at night, of strange noises, of things that did not belong. No one suspected Zarek, yet the knowledge he carried pressed down like a mountain. He could anticipate the outsider's next move, but could not alert the people with words. Kweku appeared again, standing on a branch as if grown from the tree itself. "The test has begun," the trickster said. "Your heart will be torn, your body unseen, your voice silenced. You wanted freedom. Now you must choose, save them all, or vanish." Zarek's mind raced. He planned paths through the forest, safe hiding spots for the villagers, ways to redirect the outsiders without revealing his hand. Each move required precision. One mistake could mean disaster. He realized that the burden of betrayal was not only in the past, it followed him. Whispering, watching, shaping every choice he made. By nightfall, the outsiders had approached again, their torches glinting in the trees. Zarek's chest tightened. He could feel every heartbeat in the village, every hidden thought. Their lives were in his hands, yet he could not speak, could not fight openly. The forest waited, and Kweku waited, and the true cost of betrayal began to take root. That night, Zarek faced the first test of true courage. A band of outsiders crept silently toward the village, hoping to seize the sacred stone and exploit the forest's protection. Zarek knew the paths better than anyone. He had revealed the secrets once, and now he could anticipate their every step. He moved among the shadows, guiding animals to block the outsiders, shifting branches to trip them, directing rivers and streams to slow their approach. Yet he remained unseen. The villagers slept, unaware of the danger, their trust in him unbroken, but meaningless. He could not warn them. A child cried out from a hut, frightened by the rustling. Zarek moved toward the sound, and the whispers of fear and hope tangled in his mind. He directed the child safely away, invisible, unheard. Each act of protection drained him, but he had no choice. Kweku's punishment was complete. Knowledge without recognition, power without presence, love without reward. By dawn, the outsiders had retreated, confused and frightened by the forest's traps, unaware that a single man had guided them every step of the way. Zarek stood alone beneath the rising sun, listening to whispers of gratitude that could not reach him. The forest had survived another night, the village remained safe. And yet he understood the truth: betrayal's cost is never forgotten, never forgiven, and always demands a price. Kweku's voice echoed faintly in the wind. "You see, Zarek, the path of betrayal is never free. You may save them, but you will never belong among them again." Zarek's heart ached. The village was safe, but he was gone, invisible, silent. The first threads of his new existence had begun, and the final trials were still to come. Zarek's days blended into nights, and nights into whispers. He moved silently, guiding, protecting, saving, yet never acknowledged. The villagers began to notice strange patterns: paths cleared of roots, traps set for intruders, animals behaving oddly, but they attributed it to luck, not realizing a single man's unseen hand shaped their safety. One evening, Zarek found Nala near the edge of the forest, staring at the shadows. "Brother," she said, her voice trembling, "I feel something watching us." "Something not human." Zarek nodded, sensing the same presence he had felt since Kweku first cursed him. Shadows twisted among the trees, carrying secrets and warnings alike. The whispers in Zarek's mind surged, revealing the outsiders' plans. They would attack the village at first light, hoping to seize the sacred charm while the villagers slept. His heart pounded. He could see every movement before it happened, every hesitation, every step, but he could not speak, could not strike, could not be seen. He moved silently to the perimeter, guiding animals to block paths, setting branches to trip intruders, and nudging the wind to whisper warnings. By dawn, the forest seemed alive, anticipating every step of the outsiders. Zarek's punishment, the weight of knowledge, the inability to act openly, pressed on him like iron chains. Kweku appeared at the highest branch of the baobab, smiling faintly. "Clever, Zarek," the trickster said. "But cleverness alone will not save the village. Courage, sacrifice, and patience will. Remember, betrayal is never erased. It is only carried, heavier with every act of protection. The outsiders returned at dawn, moving cautiously through the mist. They carried ropes and lanterns, eyes darting to the forest. Zarek's mind raced. He could see the safest paths, the shallow streams to slow them, the hidden routes to trip them, and the animals ready to obey his silent commands. He guided the birds to swoop and scatter their lanterns, sent deer bounding through their path to create confusion, and even used the river to wash away footprints. The outsiders cursed and stumbled, unaware that an unseen guardian orchestrated every obstacle. Back in the village, Nala and the children played near the river. Zarek felt their fear rising, their worrying building, yet he could not speak. The whispers of the village filled his mind, their hope, their trust, their unawareness, and he understood the cruel irony. He had betrayed them, yet only he could protect them from the consequences. As the sun climbed higher, the outsiders retreated again, beaten not by man, but by the forest itself, guided by Zarek's unseen hand. Exhausted, he leaned against a tree, feeling the weight of his curse. He had saved the village once more, yet no one knew. No one thanked him. Kweku's words lingered. Betrayal is never free, and the price is eternal vigilance. That night, Zarek stood silently beneath the stars, watching the village sleep. The forest whispered around him, leaves rustling like voices of judgment. He understood now that his punishment was not temporary. It was a lifetime of vigilance, of carrying knowledge too heavy to share, of acting without recognition. Nala approached quietly. "Brother," she said softly, "you are different. You do not laugh, you do not speak like before. The forest touches you in ways it does not touch anyone else." Zarek nodded, his heart aching. She could not know the truth. She could not know the cost of betrayal. From the shadows, Kweku appeared, smiling faintly. "The final test approaches," he said. "The outsiders grow desperate, and the village's safety will demand more than cunning. You must act, Zarek, but always in silence. Remember, your power is only as strong as your willingness to remain unseen." Zarek swallowed hard. He understood. The path ahead would be dangerous, filled with shadows and whispers, and he would face trials no man had endured before. The village depended on him, yet he could not speak, could not show himself. The true battle was coming, not just against the outsiders, but against the burden of knowledge itself, the punishment for betrayal. And the forest that watched him with endless patience. The outsiders had grown bold, no longer lurking at the edges of the forest. They carried weapons and ropes, determined to seize Oroku's charm by force. Zarek felt their approach long before their shadows touched the village. Every heartbeat, every whisper, every breath of the outsiders fed into his mind. He could see their plan unfold step by step, yet his voice remained trapped, his body unseen. That night, he moved through the village silently, guiding animals to stand guard and shifting branches to form hidden barriers. Even the river seemed to respond, rising slightly to hide footprints and make paths slippery. Zarek felt the forest itself bending to his will, yet he remained separate from it, a silent force orchestrating protection from the shadows. The villagers slept peacefully, unaware of the danger creeping closer. Only Nala sensed something amiss. She approached Zarek's hiding place, her hand resting on his shoulder. "Brother," she whispered, "I do not understand, but I feel you are near." Zarek nodded. She could not see him, yet the warmth of her trust reminded him why he persisted. Kweku appeared on the highest branch of the great baobab, grinning. "The test grows heavier," the trickster said. "You have guided them, protected them, and yet they know nothing. This is the path of betrayal, power without recognition, sacrifice without thanks. Soon, the final challenge will arrive, and only courage can hold it." Zarek clenched his fists. He understood now that this battle was not just physical, it was the punishment of betrayal made flesh. To protect those he had wronged, he must act unseen, unheard, and unthanked, shaping the forest, the animals, and even the wind itself into a shield. The outsiders struck at dawn. Lanterns flickered in the mist as they approached the village, ropes coiled in hands, their voices low but urgent. Zarek felt each movement before it happened, guiding birds to distract them, sending deer to block their paths, and nudging streams to rise in their way. Every act was precise, silent, and unseen. Yet the battle was more than the forest or the animals. Zarek sensed danger within the outsiders' hearts, their greed, their fear, their cunning. Each shadow of doubt became a tool, each hesitation a weapon. He moved like wine through the trees, invisible and untouchable, orchestrating every trap without stepping into their path. The villagers remained asleep, unaware, yet Zarek felt their presence like a shield of warmth. Nala stirred briefly, sensing something amiss, but fell back into sleep, trusting the forest and the invisible hand that guided them. By midday, the outsiders had retreated, exhausted and disoriented. They cursed the forest and swore vengeance, unaware that one man silently, invisibly had turned the tide. Kweku appeared in the shadows, smiling faintly. "You saved them again, Zarek," he said. "But the final act approaches. Soon, betrayal's price will demand its fullest toll. Are you ready to face it?" Zarek's chest tightened. He knew the test was not over. The village was safe for now, but the ultimate confrontation between the betrayer, the forest, and the trickster was coming. Night fell like a curtain over the village. Zarek stood beneath the baobab, invisible, listening to the wind whisper secrets of the outsiders' plans. Their hunger for the charm would lead them to the very heart of the village if he did not act. Every instinct told him the final battle had begun. He guided animals to form silent sentinels, raised branches as obstacles, and nudged water to obscure footprints. Each act required precision, each move a test of patience and courage. The whispers of fear, hope, and unspoken trust wrapped around him. Heavy as chains. From the shadows, Kweku appeared, one eye glowing faintly. "Soon, Zarek," the trickster said, "you will face the moment where betrayal's cost is paid. Your choices will determine not only the village's fate, but your own. Remember, your power is only as strong as your silence." Zarek's mind raced. He could anticipate the outsiders' every step, yet the weight of unspoken knowledge pressed down. He moved like a shadow, unseen and unheard, weaving a web of protection that only he knew existed. The village slept, unaware that the storm of greed and betrayal approached. Zarek's heart ached for their safety, for Nala, for every life he had promised to guard. He understood now that the ultimate challenge was coming, not just against the outsiders, but against the punishment that Kweku had laid upon him, testing courage, loyalty, and the price of betrayal itself. The final night arrived. A dense mist settled over the village, swallowing the paths and muffling every sound. Zarek could feel the outsiders approach in every trembling leaf, every quiver of the river. They carried ropes, blades, and lanterns, their eyes alight with greed and hunger for Oroku's charm. Zarek moved silently through the mist, guiding birds to dive at lanterns, nudging branches to trip feet, and stirring rivers to hide tracks. The forest itself seemed alive, bending to his will, yet he remained unseen, unheard, unthanked. Every step, every plan, every breath was a silent act of protection. Kweku appeared in the shadows, leaning from a tree with a grin as sharp as a blade. "Tonight, Zarek, the cost of betrayal will be paid. Will you protect them all, or will the forest claim you first?" Zarek felt the weight of every wrong, every secret, every unspoken word. He knew the punishment could crush him, yet he did not falter. He was the unseen guardian, the shadow in the trees, the whisper in the wind. Without recognition, without gratitude, without reward, he would protect the village at all costs. The outsiders stumbled through the forest, their lanterns dimmed by fear and confusion. Zarek guided every obstacle, every warning, every distraction. They cursed and shouted, but the forest moved as one, shaping them into defeat. By midnight, they had fled, exhausted and terrified. Zarek felt the forest exhale, the mist lifting, the village safe. Again. As the first light of dawn touched the village, Zarek stood beneath the baobab, invisible yet heavy with exhaustion. The village awoke, unaware of the danger they had faced. Children laughed, women sang, and men carried yams and fish to the morning fires. Nala approached, eyes searching. "Brother," she whispered, "something happened last night. I felt fear, and then safety. But I do not know why." Zarek smiled faintly, unseen, and placed a hand lightly on her shoulder, letting her feel warmth without seeing him. Kweku appeared on a branch, his one eye gleaming. "The test is complete, Zarek. You have faced betrayal, guided the forest, and protected the village without recognition. But the final choice remains: continue as shadow, unseen, silent, and eternal, or reveal yourself and face consequences beyond imagination." Zarek's heart pounded. The village would never fully understand his punishment. Yet he could not deny that he longed for presence, for acknowledgement, for a life beyond whispers. But the price of revealing himself could destroy everything he had saved. He chose silence. He would remain the shadow, the guardian of the village, the secret protector. Kweku's grin widened. "Wise, and yet tragic. Your heart is loyal, but your name will never be sung." Months passed, and the village flourished. Crops grew tall, rivers ran clear, and animals returned to the forests and fields. The outsiders never returned, discouraged by the strange defenses that had foiled them. Zarek continued to guide, protect, and watch. He was in every shadow, every rustle of the trees, every whisper of the wind. Nala grew strong, wise, and brave, unaware that her brother moved silently among them. The villagers learned to respect the forest, to honor the unseen, and to trust in a protection they could not see. Yet the forest itself seemed to watch Zarek with quiet patience. Kweku appeared sometimes, smiling faintly. "You are eternal now," he said, "guardian of those who trust, shadow of those who fear. Remember, betrayal is never forgotten, but loyalty can endure even in silence." Zarek felt a strange peace. The punishment remained, the burden of knowledge weighed upon him, yet he knew that the village survived because of his courage. Recognition was unnecessary. Safety was reward enough. Years later, the village thrived. Children played under the baobab, farmers tilled the land, and the river sang to those who listened. The outsiders were gone, and the charm of Oroku remained safe. And somewhere in the shadows, Zarek watched. He was silent, unseen, and unthanked, but he was there. Every rustle of leaves, every bird's cry, every gentle gust of wind carried his protection. Nala walked beneath the trees, smiling. She felt his presence without knowing it. The villagers spoke of a mysterious guardian of the forest, a shadow that watched over them in times of danger. Legends began to grow, whispered from child to child, about the man who betrayed and yet saved them. Kweku appeared one last time, his one eye gleaming. "Your choice is made, Zarek. You are the unseen hero, the silent shadow, the one who carries betrayal and loyalty in equal measure. The village will never know, but you will endure." Zarek looked toward the rising sun. His punishment remained, but so did his purpose. He smiled faintly, invisible, and disappeared into the forest. And from that day, the village never feared the shadows again. For they were protected by a secret more powerful than any man could know, the heart of the one who had betrayed them, yet loved them enough to save them all.